Iteration, a posh word for loops. There's two kind of loops we're going to look at today. One is a for loop, one is a while loop. I'd like you to think of a real world example of a loop. It could be something in your life or it could be something that happens in the world around you. But think of a real world example of a loop taking place. More than likely, the example you just thought of is one of two loops, a for loop or a while loop. So a for loop is a defined number of times that it will loop through something. It will keep repeating for a known number of times. A while loop is indefinite. It might go on forever, or in actual fact, it might be set until keep doing what it's been told to do until a condition is met, or in some cases not met. So a while loop can be very useful when you're trying to sequence code. The first loop is the for loop. And as I said, this is the count controlled loop. So if you've got Homer who's got 10 donuts in his box, for 10 times, he will eat a donut and go, donuts. So this is the count that's going to be used. So the algorithm that I've created here is a basic representation of that loop. Now we're going to go and code that in Python. The for loop in Python, as said, is count controlled. For is the keyword, and then I'm going to have a variable here. Now it's a variable that I'm making on the fly, so it's not going to have a problem with not being defined. Quite often you'll see I used or maybe N. So N could stand for number, and for number in range. Now in is another keyword, range is a function, even though it's a slightly different color to normal function. And as such, it will have parameters. And in here, I'm going to put an argument. I'm going to put a number, which is 10. At the end of this line, I'm going to have the colon, which is going to indicate the word then. So for number in range, 10, then do this. And all I'm going to do is print. And again, print a function. It's got brackets. It's got speech marks because it's going to have a string. And I'm going to go, donuts. I'm just going to test it. And that should be 10 times. Let's just break it a little bit. If I remove the parameters and don't give this function an argument, it will throw a bit of a hissy fit. Move this over here to resize it. So range expected 1 argument and it got 0. So it's telling me what went wrong there, and I've already said 10. Now, as I said earlier, this could be I, it could be a variable, even as stupid as cat sick, and you can actually output that variable as it goes through the loop. And so this is a good example. So next to the string, I'm going to use comma to separate the two values, and now I'm going to use that variable. And then when I press play up here, it says donuts 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why has it started at 0? That's right, because computers count at 0, start counting at 0. It goes up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it will start again 1, 0, 1, 1, 2. Yeah, you get the idea. So that is how a for loop works. The next loop we're going to look at is the while loop. And this is condition controlled. It's a little bit more complicated because once the loop started, it will do something, and then it will check to see if the condition has changed. And the example I've given here is the whole family annoying Homer by saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Now, the example, if I was to write it in a kind of pseudocode of sorts, it would be, while not home, say, "Are we there yet?" At some point, it would need to capture the fact that they've got home, and then the condition would turn false, and therefore it would stop doing the loop. The key question in this project is when do you want to use a for loop instead of a while loop? Hopefully you all know the answer. That's right. It is when you know how many times you want the loop to run, it's the for loop. When you want it to keep running until a condition happens or doesn't happen, then a while loop is the appropriate loop to use. Let's have a look at that in Python now. Okay, so the while loop in Python, as I've said, is condition controlled, Notice this comment here. If I remove this comment, this hashtag, Python would throw a bit of an issue with the fact that it doesn't understand what it's trying to do. So a comment is either for a human reader to read something, or it is used to comment out bits of code when we try and debug things. For this, I'm just going to test that my output works. Click run. Yep, that works fine. This is the keyword while. I'm just going to use a true on this. This is a Boolean. In other words, there's no checking involved here, but it's a good way of trying to output constantly. So this should, in theory, create a loop. What kind of loop? That's right, an infinite loop. And it'll just keep outputting that. Right, stop that, clear that. I need to obviously have some kind of condition, so I'm going to use a variable for this. I'm going to use home equals input. Are we there yet? So that's my first instance of are we there yet? And then rather than true, what we're going to do is while home not equal to, and then string yes, colon, then do this. Are we there yet? No. Now it keeps going. It's doing this infinite loop again. Why is it doing that infinite loop? Because we haven't checked the condition again inside the loop. There's a really easy way to do that. Stop the code. Clear. Instead of having that print, are we there yet? I'm just going to highlight this line, copy, and I'm going to paste that in over this one. Are we there yet? No. 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 Yes. Why didn't yes work? Because it's got an exclamation mark. But why didn't this yes work? That's right, it's got a capital letter, and a capital Y is a completely different character to a lowercase y. It would have to be all lowercase. Now there's a nice little hack we can do using a method. This dot lower, and I'll put one here as well, dot lower. It tells me what it's doing here. It returns a copy of the string converted to lowercase. It's quite important that that dot is there because that is a method, indicates it's a method. A method is basically a function, so let's call it a function. But in this case, we don't need any arguments in its parameters. So let's just clear that. Run. Are we there yet? No. Are we there yet? Yes. Exclamation mark. Didn't work. Good. Are we there yet? Yes. Okay, so it worked, but it wasn't very satisfying. So really, when it breaks out of it, what we need some kind of statement. Home sweet home. Okay, let's run that. Are we there? No. Are we there yet? Yes. Home sweet home. Perfect. Your turn.